to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for.
Alright guys, so thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to tell you the secrets of how to make your GoPro footage look amazing. So we're going to go over basically the settings that you're going to need on your GoPro, filters that you're going to need, lights, stabilization techniques, as well as editing software and what to do with color correction, adding B-roll shots like that, as well as slow-mo, and everything you need to know to make that GoPro footage of yours look amazing underwater. Alright, so the first thing we want to do with our GoPro is make sure it's on. We want to make sure that we're on Pro Tune mode, so you got a PT. See your resolution, frames per second, and field of view. So depending on what you want to shoot, you could change that. So I like shooting 4K, so I'll make sure it's on 4K. Frames per second, I like shooting on 60 because I like to do some slow motion. The only downside of that is if you scroll over into our settings and we want to change the video stabilization, it is temporarily disabled for 60 frames per second at 4K. So that's the one downfall, but it's alright. You have a lot of different options for stabilization without it. So if we see our options here, the main thing you want to change is our color profile. Make sure it's set to flat. Sharpness, you could change it anywhere from low, medium, or high. I just keep it on medium. Usually I keep it on high. Depending though, it just gives you more of a blur effect if you are shooting on low. ISO, you could change again your ISO max if you want to bump it up. But again, you gotta make sure the higher you have on ISO for low light situations, the more grainy and the film's gonna look, or the footage is gonna look. EV comp will change manually if we need to underwater again. You do that when you get to a certain depth. And our white balance as well. So once we get to where we first really want to start shooting, you can put on auto as you're getting in the water, but say you get down to about 20 feet and you want to shoot some fish or some coral, you'd automatically get into your white balance, check what you want, whatever looks best. So say like 6,000 looks best. You go down to 6,000 Kelvin and set it up there. And then as a rule of thumb, for every meter, 2 meter max, you want to change your manual white balance. So say you're at 25 feet now, you're shooting at 6,000 Kelvin, then you drop down to say 30 feet, 35 feet. You want to go back into your white balance, change it to whatever looks best again. Manually change it, say 5,000 Kelvin looks best, set it to that, shoot again, and then if you go down to, or go up back to 20 feet, then you go back into white balance again. So white balance, setting up white balance manually is probably the most important thing you could do. That and having a red filter on your camera. If you don't do that, you'll never get like great footage that you could then edit in your software after. You'll still never get a great picture. So having that gives you the opportunity then to go into editing software and actually bump up your colors and make it look really good. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is red filters. If you're actually diving in green water or lakes, you can use a magenta filter like this. Otherwise, you use one of these types of red filters. These ones are particularly set for different depths, so they're from a company called Sandmark, but lots of different companies have different types of one. This one comes with the 4 different colors of red, magenta. Has a little adapter like this where you just slide it into, and these ones are set for different depths. So you got like a lighter red, which is 5 to 20 feet, a medium red, which is 20 to 50 feet, and then you have your 50 plus foot, which is more of a darker red. Because the depths of the GoPro only goes up to 30 feet, 10 meters. When you're scuba diving, you're going to be going deeper than that, so you want a super suit or type of waterproof case for it. Like this guy, this is the super suit from Gopro. So you put your GoPro inside there with this particular type of mount where you slide your actual filters in. It just slides over the top just like that. Press it in. It's that easy. You have a little tie down here, what you could tie down just in case it falls off, but I've used it a lot and I've never had a problem with that. So you just take your filter, say you're diving shallow dive, you could get a 5 to 20 foot one, and you just slide it right in the top, just like that, and you have your red filter. You want to change it out, 20 to 50 foot, slide in just like that, nice and easy. And that's it. And the main thing you want to use these red filters just because the red is the first color you lose when you're diving. I'll show you a chart just to give you an example. And the farther you go down, the more red you want, basically, because that's the more red you lose. If you don't use a red filter, because of that color loss, because you're losing all that red, you're never going to have great quality picture. You always have very blue to green coloring, and even in post-production you won't be able to change that. So it's very important that if you are diving anywhere more than 10 feet, so pretty much, you know, deep free diving or scuba diving, if you're snorkeling, you don't need a red filter because you're usually not going more than about 10 feet. Alright, the next thing we're going to be talking about is stabilization. Basically trays or tripods or selfie sticks or poles or whatever. The most stable that I would suggest is something like this, which is called a tray. This particular one that I have, I use for my mirrorless camera, but they have ones like this for GoPro that you could just mount your GoPro onto, and being able to hold it with both hands like that will give you the most stable footage. That would be the most stable setup tray situation, because you could hold it with both hands. You have options for lighting or strobes at the top, and that'll give you basically the best way. Also, a lot of them you could attach either a pole or a tripod to the bottom of that as well. So it looks kind of like something like this, and then you have different options. But our second option would be a tripod. So you get something like this, which is just the Joby. Costs about $50 or $40 US. Very bendable, so you could put the legs around something if you wanted. If you're diving in like a wreck or something like that, you could hook it onto the side of a wall or door or window or something like that. You could also, what's good about these, having like a tripod, you could also, which I do, I'll bring like a mesh bag with me. I'll put some of my dive weights in it, and then you could hold it down, so just on the sand somewhere like that, and the weights will hold it at the bottom. Then you could use that for like swimming by it, or if you want to get close to a fish that's scared of you and that would like move away if you're there, you can kind of set up the camera in the area, swim away, and the fish might then go back to that area, or they might be curious and come up to it and approach it, and you can get some really good footage that way. They're really good if you don't have like a dive buddy or somebody that could use the camera with you to get pictures of yourself, or just having a different option to get different types of pictures. Another option would be something like this, a GoPro. GoPro has their own. This is an aftermarket one. I like it because it has the clear middle, so just gets like when you're in the water you can't really see it, so it gives you less of a, basically like knowing that you have a pole in your hand or whatever that you're taking the footage from. The other cool thing is that it's easy to get, basically bend the top, so you could have it so for selfie mode, or you could easily bend it back in different directions. Also it goes from about 12 inches and you can adjust it so that'll go out to about 2 feet long, and that just gives you better angles to get like a selfie, you get more view of yourself, or if you want to get into crevices or areas that you can't get to, or if you want to get it close to like a moray eel or something like that, it'll give you that 2 feet extra length to keep you away from the type of marine animal or fish or whatever that you're trying to get. So those basically three, the GoPro, the tripod, and the tray, are basically three really good options of stabilization devices that you should have. Tray would be the best, I would say. Having a tripod probably second best, and a GoPro third best, just because the tripod, even though it's shorter, you can still kind of use it as a selfie stick. And if you could get a tray like this, GoPro or tripod attached to the bottom of it, then that would be your best bet, because then you get like best of all worlds. Alright, so next we'll talk about lighting, different types of light systems. But like I said before, if you had a GoPro on a tray like this is what I use for my mirrorless camera. You have the balls on the top, which you're able to attach lights to. These lights I use for just normal videography and photos at night. You could also just take them out and use them as a flashlight for camping or whatever, just going out at night. They're called Litra Torch 2.0. They're also waterproof, which is handy, to a depth of 60 feet. So they're not as good as most waterproof lights that are specific for like diving and stuff like that. But the difference is you save a lot of money on them. Plus, again, if you want like a normal videography light or photography light, these run about $80 US, compared to you could spend easily $2,000 to $3,000 on specific ones for scuba diving. So the good thing about this one too is you have three different light ratios or light modes, from a low mode to a medium mode to a high mode, and then also like a strobe mode. These things also allow you to put on a filter, which if you're actually using a red filter for filming, you should be using a type of blue filter for your lights. And these ones you could buy a marine kit for these particular lights for about $20 US. And you just put those on, just they snap on like that, nice and easy. And then you get a little blue tint to your light, which just helps take away any redness residue kind of when you're using a red filter. The other good thing about these are they're light, small, and compact, but their downside is they only go to about 800 lumens on your highest mode, which lasts about 35 minutes. Battery, if you're using it on the lowest mode, you only get about 100 lumens, but it'll last you 4 hours. So if you're doing really dark diving or cave diving, I highly wouldn't recommend this too highly, because the low level of lumens, you'd want probably to buy a new one. But with these ones, just for like a GoPro mount, you know, you have a $350 camera, you know, and you have $100 lights or whatever, you don't really want to be spending $2,000 on lights. At that point, it would be better to get a better camera for it anyways. Alright, so this one's just me taking a selfie video of me and then lowering into a cage. This is at the Florida aquarium where I'm swimming with sharks. Then you get a video of the scuba diver in front of me, so you get a different aspect. Two people. Some view of fish really close up in front of your face. We got a stingray at the bottom now, so we're getting like a low view, and then we'll get a view of him passing me. I'll get just above them. And then even shots like this, you could slow down, put in slow-mo. So here's up close with a sand tiger shark as he goes by. You're able to see like the total size and width of this animal. And then this one's pretty cool too. So if you get a lower view, you get a totally different perspective of it coming over top of you, and you kind of see like the silhouette of the shark, which I think is pretty cool. And then here's like a selfie view using that GoPro stick. You can see the shark and stingray and abundance of fish behind me. Alright guys, so now for editing. You've done everything else. Now it's just you gotta bring everything to your editing software. I use Premiere Pro. You want to put everything together to make your footage look amazing. So you shot in flat profile. You're using your white balance. You're using your red filters. You got some B-roll footage. You got different views, different angles. Maybe you have a drone as well that you could take some shots with, just to give you a total different aerial aspect to it. We want to put everything together now, so we move everything to our editing software, and now we want to add some color correction to it, make all those videos pop, make it look really nice. Maybe you want to throw some slow-mo in there, just to make sure you get maybe some footage that maybe was shaky, or maybe you only got a little bit of it, or you want to do some cool thing with like a fish coming up and then slowing it down and then letting it go again. Also, because underwater you get some currents back and forth, it's good to have some slow motion as well there, and then it keeps that stabilization really well as well. After that, maybe you want to put some cinematic bars in it just to make the film actually more cinematic. You want to check on sound effects. Maybe you want to throw some sound effects in there. Like sometimes I'll want some waves crashing in on one of the scenes, or maybe some birds chirping, something like that, some seagulls chirping. Other than that, you could also do get some music just to get some, like a nice, if you have some beach setting and you're going to the water, maybe some nice relaxing music or something like that. You have different options, but that all adds to like the professionalism to the actual footage, as well as just making it really, really exciting for people and fun for people to watch. Alright, so I'm going to show you a few clips here. That's going to be before it was color corrected, just shot in the nice flat profile with white balance, and you're going to see what the difference is before you take it to color correction and after. Two different shots, and then also a little slow-mo. There was this big black group that came after me, kind of like opening its mouth, so I did a nice little slow-mo over there where it kind of looked cool. So you can just see how the difference between color correction, adding some slow-mo, how it could improve your GoPro footage really well. So let's check it out. I'll show you a little footage that I took. Just put a little clip together. You could see how when you merge everything together, what you could get. And basically everything you see is like GoPro footage, except for obviously the drone footage, which is from a Mavic Pro. But other than that, that's just something extra if you want to throw it in. And one other thing, you could also add like title bars, make some titles, just if you want to show where it is. Sometimes it's cool to throw that in as well. So I'll show you a clip of everything right now, and you can see how it looks. I think it looks pretty sweet, so check it out. Alright, so that looks pretty sweet. I'm happy with that. That's just a little short edit. But just to give you an example of what you could do if you use the right techniques, and you could actually get some pretty decent footage by using an action cam like a GoPro. So if you like the video, thanks for watching first of all. Put a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions you want to ask me, just put them in the comments below. And if you like the footage and you want to see more, then just think of subscribing. I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching.